Welcome to Most Amazing Top 10. Here are the top 10 real people in history, scarier than the devil, part 3. Even more people. Let's do it. But first, we have a word from our sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends has years of content, so there's never a dull moment, believe me. It's the first mobile game that really recaptures the magic of the games that I grew up on and loved. Let's go ahead and open some shards. First up, we have the Blue Ancient Shard. The Blue Ancient Shard is the Executioner. Nice, he sounds intimidating already. I love his sword and shield combo. He is ready to defend or strike. This is my kind of warrior. I'm so excited already. Nice. Next up, the Purple Void Shard. Okay, who do we get this time? Nice, the Seducer. Uh-oh. I love the staff already. This character is epic. No shield necessary. I see. I love it. And last, we have a Purple Void Shard. Who's it gonna be? Sylar. Nice, they are perfect. Sylar means business. She looks like she's straight out of the underworld. I would not want to come face to face with Sylar any day. I've never felt more prepared. Thanks, Raid. So what's new in Raid, you ask? Let's talk. You don't want to miss out this month, that's for sure. They've got special events every single day, including an entirely new event for the summer solstice called the Path of Light, where you'll be able to explore 3 branching paths to get rewards that you want the most. On top of that, there's awesome new champions coming out and a set of skins for the amazing Trunda Guilt Mallet. They look epic. I already can't wait to get my hands on these sweet, sweet rewards. But wait! There is even more. Raid's currently running a special Deliana chase event where you can get your hands on the amazing Deliana, a brand new legendary champion from the High Elves faction, just by logging in. It's that simple. All you have to do is log in and play Raid for 7 days between now and July 20th, and you'll get Deliana for free. It's literally that easy. This is the best time to get started in Raid, and if you click my link in the description or scan my QR code here on the screen, you'll get unique bonuses worth $30. We're talking a free epic champion, 200,000 silver, 1 energy refill, 1 experience boost, and 1 ancient shard so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in the game. No wasting time, my friends. All this treasure will be waiting for you here. Rewards will only be available for the next 30 days and only for new players. The gifts keep coming, my friends. All new players, listen up. Once you're in game, just enter promo code MyDeliana to get your hands on everything. It's that simple. Get 50 experience brews to instantly get your legendary hero, Deliana, to max level 50, as well as a ton of silver, which never hurts. Just enter this promo code and you're set. Kicking off the list at number 10, the Bloody Benders. Not to be confused with the Peaky Blinders, although those lads are also trouble. The Bloody Benders, they too were a tight-knit family from the 1800s. The Benders were born and raised in Labette County, Kansas. Parents John and Elvira, with their son and daughter, John Jr. and Kate. The family didn't speak English too well, so they sadly couldn't make too many friends. Their daughter Kate was a known psychic as well. Mysterious family to say the least. Now cut to 1872, people are starting to go missing. Nobody's feeling safe anymore. Eventually word spread that the Bender family may have something to do with it. Okay, so upon further investigation, the Bender family fled their home immediately. And then that's when authorities found 9 bodies on their property, all in a secret room. So clearly the entire family had to be on board, so whatever hunch was happening, they were right. Hence why they all fled. Unless they're vampires, I don't think we have to worry about these guys anymore today, but still, how twisted, right? That's crazy. Families, right? Number 9, Wild Bill Longley. You know you're f***ed when Wild is in their name. Or Bill. Any Bill is bad news, really. Wild or Bill, this one's a bad one. Back in the 1860s, Wild Bill Longley just killed a man traveling through town. No act of violence or anything like that, he just decided to. And of course, this was the first of many for the twisted Bill Longley. 2 years later, Bill joined the army. He intended to stay for 5 years, but he left only after 2. As soon as he got back home to Austin County, he killed another man for seemingly no reason. And then he took out his childhood best friend for, again, reasons unknown. And then he left town entirely. Cut to 1876, he killed 2 more people, shocker. And finally, come 1877, he was arrested and finally executed. His name was unspoken until 1958. That's when actor Steve McQueen portrayed Wild Bill Longley in a Tales of Wells Fargo episode. Pretty dark. People are I don't even know how to say anything funny. I'm like, yeah, part 3, people are pretty messed up. Number 8, Jack the Ripper. We've heard his name for many years, but who was Jack the Ripper and just how bad was he? Spoiler alert, He was pretty bad. He was horrible. One of the worst. When talking about serial killers, Jack the Ripper is still unidentified. He would target sex workers in East London neighborhoods back in the late 1800s. He has been connected to 5 killings, and after thorough investigations, he was still never found. His identity is still unknown. It's one of those true crime stories where it makes you mad that we didn't find him, but at the same time, there's some relief that this was so long ago and he's for sure dead. Again, unless he's a vampire, this monster is gone. Number 7, the Werewolf of Dole. Now, speaking of monsters, okay, I lied. As far as haunting nicknames go, this guy takes the cake. This is horrible. The Werewolf of Dole. This man was a serial killer back in the 16th century, and the small town of Dole recalls this man, Giles Garnier. He would identify himself as a walking, talking, breathing werewolf. Yeah, he would walk all hunched over and stalk his victims before ultimately ending their life. How horrible is that? These people are real. Garnier confessed to killing 4 people, but beforehand, he was apparently given a special elixir by the devil himself. That's what apparently gave him said werewolf properties. Cut to January 1573, the Werewolf of Dole was hunted and executed publicly. Classic, so dark, always public. Everything's so public and horrible. Imagine walking home and you're like, what's the werewolf? What's going on? What's going on in that town? Number 6. Burke and Hare. Ah yes, another 2-for-1. We love those on Most Amazing. These monsters were kicking back in the late 1820s. Now at this time in Edinburgh, Scotland, the medical science community was on the up and up. But in order to study new medicines to, avoid the next plague and all, they needed deceased bodies. Not a lot of folks volunteering their loved ones, so that's when these guys would come in. These 2 Irish brothers, they killed 17 people over 2 years. And then they proceeded to sell their corpses to Dr. Robert Knox, all for a little bit of cash, all in the name of science. How disgusting is that? It took 17 killings before somebody caught on to this horrible system. They would suffocate them in a way that's now referenced as burking. They got their own name. That's horrible. That's how much of an impact this guy's left. Their methods were just cruel. They would invite people into their lodge to then, kill them. Hare testified against Burke, so Burke got the old gallows treatment. But then it gets worse for the lad, believe it or not. He was publicly dissected. His skeleton is actually still on display at the Edinburgh Medical College Museum to this day. Got a whole museum, it's just a skeleton. So if you want to go curse at this man's femur, go ahead. Go tell him. Go tell him Taylor McWater sent ya. Also, say hi to my family. I love Edinburgh. I want to come back soon. Number 5. Locked away. Heading back to the 1760s, the Crown Prince Sado of Korea. He was a very, very cruel prince. He enjoyed getting involved in parties, sexually explicit parties, if you catch my drift. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm sure there's a lot of this going on in those parties. He would light his clothes on fire just for the hell of it, and also I almost forgot one important part. He enjoyed killing people in his castle every day for no reason. Again, monster. A couple people a day, yeah, just because he could get away with it. His father finally decided to do something about the situation because, well, Prince Sado was starting to attack his own family members. For years, he was killing random civilians, but now that the family's threatened, now it's an issue. Yeah, nice. That's when dad steps in. Great, we love a family man, thanks. His father ended up doing something pretty horrible, I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty dark. His father ended up locking him in a rice chest, like a literal small, like a treasure chest size chest, for the rest of his life. Yeah, the prince was locked away, not in a tower, but a chest. His body was discovered 8 days after it had been locked up. Yeah, that sound you just made, I made the same noise when I read it, and I was like, oh, gotta include that. Just a chest with a body, that's so gross. Imagine the smell. Let's move on. Number 4, Giulia Tofana. Aqua Tofana was a cosmetic that was sold to women in the early 1630s. Now, it was a cosmetic that doubled down as a poison. A secret poison. The origins of said deadly cosmetic that was sold and responsible for around 600 deaths is pretty wild. Back in 1632, 2 women, Francesca Lasarda and Teofana Diadamo, they both created this poison that looked like makeup, right? So that when their husbands kissed them on the cheek, they would then be poisoned through skin contact and they would never know it, right? Eventually, Teofana was caught and executed for her crimes, but her recipe carried on through her daughter, Giulia Tofana. She took this deadly recipe to Rome and then kept manufacturing it. Over 50 years, she took out more than 600 people with this recipe. She confessed to these hundreds of crimes in 1695 before also being publicly executed. Inside this cursed cosmetic was arsenic, lead, and belladonna, all colorless, tasteless, and historically one of the deadliest. I'm never kissing anyone on the cheeks ever again. You know how often I would do that? My lady. So dangerous. Number 3, Elmer McCurdy. This one's insane, dare I say a little bit funny, so I had to include it before we finish off with the real dark stuff. Elmer McCurdy, okay, back in 1911, he decided to be a rootin' tootin' criminal. He attempted to rob a train. Yeah, what a monster, right? Not like the worst of the worst, but still wouldn't recommend it, okay? Unbeknownst to him, said train was not full of gold back in the 1900s. It wasn't a gold rush, but it was rather full of passengers. So he collected a whopping $46, which honestly back then wasn't bad. But then he was quickly shot by a lawman. This is when things start to get insane. This is why I have to include it in our list today. Elmer's body was embalmed and then sold to the undertaker and then sold to this traveling carnival. His body was an exhibit almost. And for the next 60 years, his body, this prop rather, was passed around and sold between haunted houses and wax museums. They would tell the story that I just told you. Now eventually the guy's body, his real body, mummified body, don't forget, ended up in California at an amusement park funhouse at Long Beach. So now, come 1976, there's a crew there filming for the $6 Million Man. And that's when Elmer's finger broke off, revealing that it was an actual real-life mummy and not just a prop this entire time. Yeah, what a find. They went to film the $6 Million Man and ended up finding the $46 man. How gross is that? That's a real finger. That's not a prop, that is a real finger. Number 2, John Bodkin Adams. He was once a general practitioner in the British community in Essex. Most of his patients were elderly and he treated his elderly patients with anything but care. See, from 1946 to 1956, John had around 160 patients that died suspiciously, and out of those 160, 132 of them all left their valuables over for him. Wow, what are the odds? He must have been a really great guy. It must have been some really great care that he was providing, right? It's not fishy at all. Of course, the wills were later found out to be fraud because, well, as per this list, it's the worst of all. Worst part of all this, John was acquitted after these crimes. His trial established that the doctrine of double effect, which is where a doctor giving treatment with the aim of relieving pain, may lawfully, as an unintentional result, shorten life. He's like, hey, sometimes it happens. They're like, that many times? I don't think that should happen that many times. You're in the triple digits, my dude. So out of the dozens and dozens of cases that ended horribly, Adams was only charged for 2 of them. He wasn't convicted of their deaths even in this case. He was just guilty of forging prescriptions and falsifying medical forms. So not even what he should have gotten for the 2 out of the hundreds. He even reopened his practice, but this time around, patients avoided him. Yeah, no one ended up talking to that guy. That's insane. That's where the law comes in and then makes a horrible situation even worse. You're like, really? And finally, number 1. The Lainz Angels of Death. Gotta finish on this horrible foreign one. Here we go. Since we're closing off this part 3 on real people scarier than the devil, we have to mention the Lainz Angels of Death. Yeah, were they a motorcycle squad from the 80s? Were they cool and had big mustaches? No. Now, they were a group of Australian nurses, working at the 4th largest medical facility in Vienna. At that time, it had over 2,000 staff members walking and talking through the building, including these 4 angels of death: Waltraud Wagner, Maria Gruber, Irene Ladoff, and Stefania Meyer. All nicknamed the Angels of Death. What a nice little squad, cool. They were responsible for taking the lives of 49 patients, monsters. They would use doses of morphine. They were this disgusting squad of nurses, but eventually they couldn't keep their mouth shut about their wrongdoings, and thankfully someone overheard them talking about their latest crime one night at a bar, so they were caught. And then in February 1989, all 4 were arrested as they all confessed to the killings. 2 of the 4, Meyer and Gruber, they got lighter sentences. They got manslaughter and were released a few years later, so oh, okay. And then cut to 2008, the other 2, Wagner and Ladoff, the big bad worst 2, dare I say worst 2 of the bunch, they were also released and have since changed their name. Friendly reminder that they're still out there. Awesome. Those are the top 10 real people in history scarier than the devil, part 3. If I missed anyone, comment down below and then we'll just talk about them. I've been your host, Taylor McWaters, and I'll see you next time on Most Amazing Top 10. Peace.